everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Nothing Left Unsaid. I'm your host, Abigail, and I'm super excited to be here today with Anna Hernandez. She is a former state legislator, current Phoenix City Councilmember, and a community organizer. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for reaching out and having me on the podcast.
Of course. So I guess we'll just dive right into it, getting a little bit into kind of what motivated you to run for office. I know you've experienced some tragic losses in 2019 and 2021 that, as you've said, have motivated you to move into public service. I'm wondering, how do you carry those experiences with you now that you are in office?
Yeah, I mean, for those of the audience that might not know what those tragic losses are, in 2019, my family was hit with my little brother Alex being killed by a Phoenix PD officer in the middle of a mental health crisis, and then in January 2021, losing my dad to COVID. So that impacted so many people. I mean, both really have impacted so many of the families in Phoenix and just across the country. But really, they have become like my why. They keep me grounded. Like, though, losing them has really given me like a mission and a path to pour my grief into, and my anger and all the things, right, that come with that.
Sure.
But it is really like they are why I continue to do this and why I did this in the first place, and will continue to do this to try to change the conditions so that those things don't happen, right? Especially on the police violence side, so that we are eliminating police violence. So that's how I carry those losses in the work every single day and every time I show up to meetings. And I think they also give me a reason to be bold and say the things that I've said and go about the work how I've been able to go about the work.
So how does being on Phoenix City Council differ from being at the legislature?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I get this question often, like, do I miss the legislature? Do I like the city council better? So the biggest differences are really like in the structure of things. So the city structure is a lot different than the state structure. Politics in both, different kind of politics.
Okay.
So like at the city, there is like, I think we have like 20 something departments that we work with, everywhere from like streets to parks, right, to libraries, to housing, all the things. In the state level, at the state senate, it was really working with key stakeholders, working with our city partners, but it was like working on legislation that is for the entire state, yes, for the district, but also how does this help every person in Arizona? And so it's a little bit of a different level, because at the city level, it's more of like the everyday, the things that help, that change your everyday life and my everyday life. So those are the biggest differences. What I will say that I miss about the legislature is committee hearings, because that was honestly, look, it's a very toxic space, but that was the opportunity to really get into back and forth and debate with the Republicans legislators. And, as an Aries, I like to debate, and I like to like
bring it on.
Yes. And I feel like that was my favorite part of being at the state legislature, is just the back and forth we can get into, the little verbal fights me being able to get under their skin. So it was pretty funny, but I missed that piece from the legislature. What I really love about the city structure is the opportunity to just help people with like everyday issues. That has been super, super rewarding already.
The localized impact.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely have seen some great like clips of you from your time at the legislature throwing some shade and getting at them. So
very direct shade.
So it's really clear how much you work to make District 7 residents feel seen and heard. You host Cafe Anna, where community members can connect with you and others over coffee. What are you hearing from District 7 residents in these conversations?
Yeah, the Cafe con Ana have been really, really great. We do those twice a month, and we, for a couple different reasons, right? It's to, one, connect with the residents over coffee, right? Like, you have really good conversations around that, but also to highlight some of our local businesses in the district where, we have some amazing coffee shops, so many of them across, and so we're trying to connect with them. But I think it's really good to try to also boost, right, our local economy.
Totally.
But it's been really good because we're able to hear directly from the constituents, and a lot of the issues, you know, obviously housing and homelessness is one of the top concerns for everybody across the city. So we've talked about that. So many different things, like budget questions have come up, like, well, how can we invest in these things? A lot of times, I just had one a couple days ago, and housing and homelessness was top of mind. But one of the questions in that one was, what other things can the city do to help with, you know, with public trash cans or public restrooms? So really talking through those things. So have had actually some really great ideas through these coffee chats. So one of our residents had suggested in a past meeting, as we're going into summer, like, how else can you partner with some other hotels to let people know when trails are closed because of the rescues that have to happen during the very hot days. So it's like all kinds of ideas can come from these coffee chats, but it's really the best benefit of it for me is really connecting one-on-one with the constituents. So they get to know me as their council member, but they also get to know me just as a member of the community. And I think that helps all of us, right? Like, I get to know them more, they get to know me better.
Yeah.
And so it helps us in the work.
No, that makes a lot of sense, especially like you just experiencing things as a community member was what drove you to becoming elected.
I mean, the public restroom issue, I was sharing with them at the last event that I was at a protest and there's no public restrooms in the city really accessible. So I'm over here in the protest and I'm like, I can't even go to the restroom in the middle of this protest, right? And so I had to wait till we got to a location for a business that I know that I can just pop in and use the restroom real quick. But
these policies that are like intended to, you know, keep unhoused people out and certain people out, really keep everybody out. Yeah, exactly. So Phoenix Police accounts for nearly half the city's budget, compared with about 2% for housing, which definitely says a lot about the city's priorities. Can you tell me about the budget working group that your office has launched and what changes you hope to see come out of it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited for that. So I don't think what a lot of folks don't know is that prior to me running for office, right, I was showing up at city council meetings, advocating through the budget process for investments into more services, like especially in the mental health area, in the housing area. In my time at the state senate, I also would still show up at city council meetings advocating for more housing investments. And so the key, what I learned, right, is this wasn't an easy process to learn. And so the budget is really our biggest tool is how we invest money, right? It's I talk about it in a way that a budget is a moral document. And right now, you know, I think actually police take over probably close to 60% of the general fund.
Okay.
So it's actually a little bit more than half.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And, you know, historically in years past, we've seen very low investments into housing. And that's one of the things that is two of my key items. So we recognize very quickly that there's a lot of our constituents and residents that don't know when the budget happens. They don't know how to engage. They don't know that, you know, there's budget hearings happening, or how can they advocate for the things that they want to see. So we came up with this really amazing idea that we kind of learned from just trying to watch what other cities are doing. And so we launched our very first budget working group, where we brought in 11 of our residents, of our constituents, to be to like a fellowship where we're teaching them the entire budget process, how decisions are made, how to read the budgets, how to understand the budgets. And that, I think, is a very, very valuable tool.
Absolutely.
You know, that equips them with the knowledge when they have amazing ideas and are like, hey, how can we make this happen? The budget is the path to do that. So that's the goal of this program, is equip our residents and our constituents with the education around the budget, so that they can become their own advocates. Because, you know, one day I won't be there, but I want them to still engage.
Other people that you just kind of trained up, and then they can share that with their groups.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't want them to just rely while I'm there. I want them to become the experts in the budget process and advocate for the great ideas that they all have.
That's amazing. Love to see it.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody would agree with you, but
Well,
you know what? So far, it's great. So far, it's great. We're really proud of it.
Well, I love to see it, and anybody who doesn't love to see it, I guess that says a little something about them.
That's true.
Can you share more about your work on housing and like kind of what you think the biggest barriers to affordability are right now?
Yeah, this is such a big topic. And I mean, I try to put myself on all the spaces on housing. There's so much, my team and wants to do on this. While I was at the state legislature, I worked and led on some really big key housing statewide reforms. One of those was the ADU, the Casita bill.
Yes.
That was really my bill, in partnership, right, with some amazing stakeholders and groups and community groups and all the things. But really took the head of negotiating on that bill and getting it across the finish line into the governor's desk. That same year, we passed what is the middle housing bill that would address or create bring back the path. We used to do this all the time. Bring back being able to build duplex, triplex, fourplex, right? That
cottage
like
courts.
townhomes that are naturally more affordable. And so, because through the years, that option has went away through zoning, right? As cities develop their zoning standards, we took away the ability to build these type of homes. So in 2024, we passed these two huge key legislation. And right now, we gave the cities a year to adopt to it. So the city of Phoenix adopted it in November, I think, of this past year. But it's become a very big...
fighting it?
It's become a very big fight because now the city of Phoenix is leading on trying to create an exemption for historic neighborhoods to basically not allow this type of housing.
Right, which are like the priority neighborhoods for where we need them.
So, right, and it's like really, I think we're in a situation where we need different housing options throughout the city, right? That includes missing middle, that includes everything. And so I think that is one of the biggest barriers to affordability, that we live in a city and a state. I talk about it from the state level because it's what we've seen across Arizona, where we either build apartments or we build sprawling homes that now nobody can afford. And so we have gotten away from that missing middle or other types of housing options that would be naturally more affordable to people. So for me, it's like, if we build more various type of housing, that is a way to try to get attainable housing out to folks, right? We still have to invest into programs like the low income housing tax credit program that is a tool to guarantee affordability. And there's actually split views on this across the board also. Some people like the program, some don't. I think I like it. I support it because it's a guaranteed tool to make housing for the area, the community that really needs that lower income housing. So we need so many different tools, right? Like in Arizona and in Phoenix in particular, we don't get the number of vouchers that we should be getting for the size of our population compared to other cities. So there's so many things we need. So that's like a long, you got to give me a time limit on housing because I could talk about housing for like hours. But right now we're working on a study to how do we expand this more citywide, but at the same time, I have to go down to the legislature and fight this other exemption bill.
Trying to get rid of your previous bill.
Exactly, to peel it back. So doing a lot of work on like this middle housing overlay, trying to find ways to expand the light tech program for the state of Arizona, working with developers that want to bring projects into the district, like how can we make this to what the community really needs. So trying to find, partnering on different projects that we want to bring to the district, think of new creative ways to bring housing into the city, working with the state partners, working with my colleagues on the council on what else can we do around housing. So through this upcoming budget process, also have been championing investments into our city housing trust fund.
Okay.
So there's a ton of work that my office is doing on housing. But if you let me go on, I'll talk about it for the whole time, and then we'll bore you to.
No. I'm very interested in this topic. It's definitely one that I feel like I don't know as much about, and I'm definitely curious, like what led us away from building the middle housing in the first place. Is it the fact that like giant complexes are more profitable for developers, or is there something else at play there? I'm just curious on like what happened there, because when I'm looking for housing, I definitely am looking for like, I like a townhouse, I like a little like duplex situation. It feels more like in community, but like not like right on top of people, but it just, and also more affordable is mainly that.
Not everybody is gonna like my answer, but literally zoning.
Okay.
Zoning has been the way where cities blocked different types of housing, right? When very direct redlining wasn't allowed because it was blocked by the Supreme Court, and you couldn't overtly racially discriminate, and redlining was used, cities created zoning laws, and those were the loophole to continue segregation and block certain people out of certain opportunities. So literally zoning is the reason why we don't build certain things anymore.
So like many things in this country, it all goes back to racism
and white supremacy. Yes, got it. Exactly that.
Perfect. If you could talk a little bit quickly about casitas and ADUs and kind of their role in intergenerational living for those who may not be as familiar on the pod listener side.
Well, I mean, I think this is a great option for like, if in the Mexican culture, and only because that's my culture, but we've already done this intergenerational living. Now it's like, let's make this more broad. Let's make sure that people have options. Like if you have an aging parent in place, for me personally, I think about my nephew that has Down syndrome. He won't ever be able to live on his own. But if my sister had the option to build a casita in her backyard, my nephew can have a little bit of independence where he can live with her, still be with his mom and be with the family, but have a little bit of independence, right? Obviously, he's so that he can be an adult, live his life still, right?
But still have some care nearby.
Exactly. So I think of situations like that. So the casitas are very personal to me because it's something that benefits my family directly. My nephew could benefit from that. I mean, if I could, I would build a casita in the backyard for my mom to live in as she gets older. So this is the great thing about why intergenerational living is achievable through ADUs, or how I like to call them, casitas.
Amazing. I definitely wish that we had, in my family, I could see how that would have been beneficial, as well as my parents cared for their aging parents. And I mean, it's like affordability too, obviously that would increase options, but it's also just like kind of like having dignity in caring for the people that you want to have closer around to you that need whatever they may need from you.
Absolutely. Because it's like a lot of our loved ones might just need a little hand, need a little bit of extra hand, but they should be able to have dignified space in their own privacy, their own space.
Exactly.
What if a parent is tired of their kid and like, look, you can't go live out there, but go in the backyard and live in this casita over here. So I can kind of keep an eye on you. There you go. So it's an option for so many people.
So a lot of community members have been asking the city to do more to protect people from ICE. What do you see as the city's role, and I guess your role as part of that?
So, yes. One, I think I just want to say, like, I really appreciate the community that has just organized themselves to really demand us to do something around this, right, as a city. So I was really glad to support the community transparency initiative that the city of Phoenix passed just in March, at the end of March. I think our role as a city is, how do we become the first line of defense for community, right? How can we actually be a mechanism to delay and prevent the contact between ICE and our community members in the first place? While recognizing we have certain limitations around that because we also live in the state of Arizona. So we have, historically, we are a really, I don't know if I can cuss on this podcast.
Yes,
or
you
what.
can.
These are
Absolutely. Please.
really shitty laws on the books, right? From SB 1070
Mm-hmm.
days, that we are in a different position than every other state.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that instead of focusing on what we can't do, it's good to see that some of my colleagues are like, cool, let's focus on what we can do,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see what we can do in that space.
Every bit you can delay and like prevent action being
sometimes
taken
it's
by
just
them.
delays.
Right.
Sometimes it's literally like we got to delay things.
Keeps people out of the pipelines.
Yeah. So I think our role as a city is find ways that we can delay, that we can be the first line of defense for community members. And how do we fill the gap in resources, right? Like we know that there's a lot of attacks very directly through ICE and then very indirectly through other benefits that residents are getting. So it's like, how can we make sure that people have food on the table, their bills are paid, right? A lot of times families that are being impacted by this is the sole provider. The person that is getting taken, that is being literally kidnapped by this federal administration, is the sole provider. And now what is that family going to do?
Totally.
So it's like our job as a city is to help our residents. So that's our role there. And then, you know, personally, I don't know, sometimes my role gets really gray because it's like, it's hard to step out of being an elected official because I also have family that is impacted by this, right? I still have mixed status family. My mom is a naturalized citizen. They're coming after everybody.
Right.
So it's like balancing that fear for my own family and my own loved ones. So it's like, how do I show up? But I think my role is the same. It's do everything that I can to speak up for the people that can't, and that, and put myself on the line also. Right? Use my privilege and my position to say the things that other people can't say, and to make sure that I'm doing my part to keep the community safe.
Well, I definitely want to second your shout out to the community organizers who really pushed the city to improve upon their initial plans and to also just hear what you know the public had to say in general. And I think obviously having you as an ally on the city council is super impactful. So
I mean, look, some of these organizers are my friends, but they didn't take it easy on me by any means. So, but that's what's needed, right? Like I welcome that stance, and we had to be pushed. Yeah. And so thank you to all the community partners that pushed us to do more.
And just to name a few of those groups, like Organized Power in Numbers, Poder in Action, BLM Phoenix Metro, Phoenix DSA, Phoenix Metro DSA. I'm not sure the order of that, but just to name a few. What's one city level issue that you think isn't getting enough attention?
Well, right now we are dealing with this medical treatment ordinance in the parks.
Oh, yes.
There's an ordinance that's moving that will change how not only medical treatment is provided in the parks, but also how food is distributed in the parks. And I don't know if everybody understands what is happening. So I would really encourage anybody watching this to really look into what is happening around the medical treatment in the parks and food distribution ordinance that the city is taking up very soon, beginning of May, in our May 6th council meeting. We will be voting on revisions to that ordinance that originally passed in December. So that's been a topic that I really would encourage more community members to pay attention to what's going on.
Can you share just a little bit about like what the ordinance is?
Yeah, so it basically, the ordinance, the way it's read, it's right now, is that providers would need to acquire and be approved for a permit, a special use permit in the parks to do either medical treatment, or food distribution.
So they're taking a page out of Tempe's book,
basically. And it would be limited to twice a month in the park that this can happen in, and it's only allowable in parks that have a parking lot. So, right, a lot of restrictions there. One of the concerning parts is like part of this is also complete ban on syringes in the park. So I think it's also trying to limit harm reduction services in the parks, right, for our unsheltered folks.
For sure.
And what I want the community to understand is like, I don't want them to feel like I'm dismissing the valid concerns that are coming about safety in the parks, right? Like, yeah, absolutely, there are safety concerns, but all these concerns are around our unsheltered neighbors that have to exist outside because there's just not enough housing, there's not enough shelter. And so this ordinance for me does nothing to fix the actual problem. So I have a lot of concerns around that. You know, you can always reach out to my office. Happy to share more on that. But that is basically the gist of the ordinance, that it's going to create barriers to the providers and the experts to go out and do either medical treatment or harm reduction services for our unsheltered folks, or even the people that literally don't have health care because we live in the United States.
Right.
And healthcare apparently is a privilege here.
Right. Only if it can make you a bunch of money.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many things there. And the food distribution piece, right, in a time where we're seeing folks lose access to SNAP benefits.
Right. And prices are going up and up.
Exactly. Because, again, apparently this is all a luxury.
Right.
But that's moving at the city of Phoenix, and I would love to have more people pay attention and get involved in that coming in the next few weeks.
Okay, yeah, good to know. So basically with the budget, they're saying we're not going to provide services for you, and then with this ordinance, they're saying, and the community can't do it either.
Right.
So
right,
love that.
Sometimes we get in our own way.
Yeah.
It's yeah, basically.
When you envision a thriving Phoenix 10 years from now in an ideal world, what do you see?
Oh my gosh, I love this question because it's like so many things. I see so many things, but one, I mean, I think I see a Phoenix where everybody has a safe place to live, a safe place to exist. I see a Phoenix where we have public transit running all the time, and love that it would be free, like free public transit, that we have public restrooms that are accessible, that we have walkable areas where families and just people want to get out and build community with their neighbors, and where, you know, you could drive through a neighborhood and just see people just like enjoying time together as friends and just in community. I see people that don't have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet. So I'm like, I think those are like some of the things that I see, that I think of right off the bat.
Sounds like a Phoenix that I would want to live in.
Look, I'm trying. I'm trying. But yeah, that's kind of what I envision.
I guess kind of on that note, I'm wondering just like a few of like your favorite things within your district. What's your favorite place to grab a bite?
That is probably the hardest question because
I'm sure
it's
there's
like,
a lot.
Yeah, because I'm like, I love everything in my district and I don't want any one particular place to feel. But
what's your go-to right now?
Okay, my go-tos, a few. So there's Centrico that is downtown. That's always a great option all the time. Comes in really handy for lunch if I want to walk to lunch somewhere. But I would say Centrico, Bacanora, and Testal are probably like my 3 go-tos. Well, Huarachis too, right? Because that's part of the Bacanora family.
Yes.
And
a little more affordable side of it.
Yeah, and
too.
Easier to get in.
Way easier to get in.
The Bacanora. I mean, although shout out to Bacanora for making sure I always can get in. So,
well, VIP.
But no, those are like the go-to places in the district.
I love Testal too. They're like one of my go-tos for lunch when I'm working at the office.
They have one of the best Jamaicas I've had, so
yes,
I love it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also all 3 of these locations, all 3 of these businesses, well, 4 really, but Renee owns both of them. So it's like, not only are you going to get good food and good drinks, you're going to get amazing service, and they're going to make you feel like you're part of the family. So yeah, that's why I love going there. And
their values there's values aligned as well, from what I can tell.
Yes,
I
definitely.
Know they shut down like during the
it's the action day, right?
Yes,
like the protest day.
Yes, thank you. Like
all of them
national,
got involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Testal is always hosting like political events as well. So
yeah, these are also businesses that give back to the community.
Yes.
So
love to support those.
Yeah, and there's so many more. So don't feel like. That's why I'm like, that's such a hard question. I'm like, there's so many.
No, love to all. Oops,
but
I'm really
when you ask me my
today.
go-to, those are probably like my go-tos. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I'm sure I'll catch you there one time.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have like a favorite annual event that happens in Phoenix, or maybe not annual, but just an event?
I mean, I try to hit whatever I can. I love going to concerts, so I'm looking forward to whenever we have concerts here and like some of my favorite artists stop by. Like I was at the Van Buren for Snow the Product. Amazing
Yeah, I heard
show.
that I was almost gonna go.
Yeah, that was great.
Our mutual friend, I think you were there once.
Okay,
so,
yeah. But no, different concerts. Concerts are probably my go-to if I have time to go. Like I'm
Did
gonna
you
go
make it to Kehlani this
I
weekend?
Unfortunately, I didn't.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I was dealing with some personal issues, but yeah, I didn't make it
Happens.
out.
I heard it was chaotic, so
It looked a little chaotic, but
Yeah.
also looked amazing. So I'm gonna try to catch her next time she's here.
yeah, definitely. I saw her in like I want to say 2015. I went to a music festival with my friend in El Paso when I was in high school, and she was very like new to the scene, I think, because she played like one of the first set times of the day, like 2 or 3, and now she's here in Phoenix, like hosting a insanely popular concert that like everyone and their mom was at, I think.
Yeah,
so
it was
it's
so
really
great
cool
to see. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to J. Cole in September.
Nice.
And then a couple of the Spanish groups that I grew up on also, I think, are coming in September.
Nice. Where's J. Cole playing at?
The Mortgage matchup in District 7.
Wow.
So I always call it the Suns Arena. I was like, he's going to be at the Suns Arena.
The Mortgage matchup is a choice for a name. I think they rotate names like every few years, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, they work with different sponsors. So,
Right.
but I'm in
Suns.
my heart is always the Suns
where
Arena.
the Suns play.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self before entering public service?
Don't. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I would say get all your fun out before you decide to run for office. All the things you want to do, get them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to go, whatever it is that you want to do, go have your fun before you run for office.
I'm sure it's a little awkward if you're like out at the club and people are like, "Hey, aren't you my councilwoman?"
Yeah, actually, so funny story. I'm probably the council member that you're going to find out in the street sometimes with you. I was out for my birthday and ran into people, but I'm like, I mean, for me, I don't care, right? Because it's like, I want a council member that I could go have a drink with,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to see in things that I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, right? So, but, you know.
You feel actually represented when you like.
I mean, I
see
would
your,
hope so.
Your council member being actually part
I would
of the
hope so,
community.
but
Yeah.
you know, some of us like to have fun that we're not going to talk about,
Sure.
right? That live only in the memories.
Sure.
Go do all that stuff before you run for office.
That is good advice. Anybody out there listening, take that. Go party now. What gives you hope right now? What's keeping you motivated?
So we have a joke in our team where we say that we start every day out with a little bit of hope, and then by the end of the day, that's dashed, and you know, we start all over. Because you know, it's just so much shit going on in the world. But I think that actually gives me hope. Seeing people just come out, and people that have never engaged before, that have never shown up to a protest, that have never showed up to a city council meeting,
Mm-hmm.
that have never showed up to a budget hearing, and it's like you're seeing more people become so much more active
Mm-hmm.
in the politics and in the process of who is representing them and like who's fighting for your interests. So it's like seeing more just everyday people get involved in that and not waiting until something drastic happens to them personally, but they're seeing the climate. You know, that gives me a little bit of hope. And I think things will get worse before they get better, but that means that something better is coming. And so that gives me hope that I can do my part to change things and do it for the better.
That makes sense to me. That's definitely something that's giving me hope as well. Seeing like some of my family members who to them I've always been like the SJW in the family, and now they're texting me about things. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
okay,
isn't it great
cool.
when like your family and friends are radicalized and they're like,
in
oh,
real time I'm witnessing it.
I know. I'm like, it's so great. So it makes my heart so happy to see. I'm like, dang, I'm gonna radicalize all my friends through this, and some of them are way more in tune than I am. I was like, oh shit, all right, I'm here for it.
Give me a lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed this conversation, and am appreciative of all the work that you're doing on the Phoenix City Council as well. We'll make sure to plug. I know this episode will probably come out a little later than some of the budget hearing meetings, but we'll definitely make sure to plug those and future ways that people can get involved on the local level, because I think you're very right that can be by far the most impactful for people on like an everyday basis. So
no, thank you so much. And the budget votes will happen in May and June, so there's going to be time for them to watch the actual budget voting. So always pay attention to that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming by.
This was great. Thank you so much.